For this lesson, we will up a little bit, just a little bit, the difficulty. Because now, of course, most things in our observable universe are not rigid like the box where a brush pen is stored, right? Most things are bent in some way, they are twisted, they can twist. For example, my arm, if you think about it, is a tube or a rectangle, depends on how you look at it, but it can bend, right? This is why it's important to also consider that solid objects, especially as we start to get closer to drawing the human body, that objects can be bent, they can twist, they can be shaped, reshaped. So let me exemplify what I'm saying. Let's say you just draw a nice. Is it recording? It is. Let's say you just drew a nice one of these, right? But you are aware that this object and I like to draw some arrows to explain. This object right here, it can be bent. Right? As if you were applying some pressure here and here to twist it, to start bending it. And it can be more extreme, right? So here I actually twisted it into the shape of a C. So I'm applying pressure actually here, twisting it even more. In the case of, let's say, a tube, right? You just drew this beautiful tube. It's beautiful. And now it's time to start bending it. As if this is the bend point. I mean, it is the bend point, right? And you see that as we start to bend, the objects start to become a bit more closer to the human body in that sense, or to objects that are more malleable, that are more bendable, right? So I'm just having some mild fun bending the objects as best as I can. And I'm not concerned myself with perspective right here. I could care less. I'm just making sure that the objects are correct regardless of perspective. It is a bit hard, this part is a bit hard to explain, but you look at the object, it looks correct. There is some perspective ongoing, right? Because if I were to consider this line here and this line here, these lines would meet up on what's called a vanishing point. So this would be the vanishing point right here. Right, so there is some perspective ongoing. Same thing for these lines over here. but I'm not necessarily overly concerned with vanishing points as I'm drawing. What I'm concerned is that the object looks correct as I'm bending. The pyramid, jumping to the pyramid, this is probably the hardest to bend. I mean, it gets to a point where, okay, well, how am I bending this? So here I had like a pyramid, right? Again, and I start to bend the lines here. A nice way to start doing this is, okay, let's say you are very good at drawing the straight line. You're very good at it, you're comfortable, you can draw straight lines, is starting to draw your object. I mean, you have to start with that, but start also practicing some curved lines and see if you can make an object out of it. So I drew these two curved lines, they are parallel. If I connect here, it's as if I have a plaque that then I can do this. And I just created a 3D object right here. So that's a nice way to also do it, is to try and draw some curved lines, draw some curves, and see if you can make an object out of it in 3D, as if you are twisting it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to start in your head with a final object. It just means that you are practicing some curved lines and see what you can make out of it. So this is a more extreme version. I mean, I don't even know what's happening here, but you can see that just from drawing these two lines here, and is my camera recording? Okay, now it should be. So by just drawing these curved lines, maybe they can be in parallel, and then I see, okay, what is it that I can make here? Is this workable in some way? And sometimes I'm even stumped myself. What is it that I can do with these shapes? This will actually also help you in other avenues of drawing. If you think about it, if you were to try and draw the alphabet, or maybe you are a graffiti artist, where they take these bendings to the extreme, it can be very useful to practice this. So my recommendation is to try and practice twisting and bending as much as you can. Even the circle, right? The circle, if you probably the easiest one, because it doesn't obey to. It's the most amorphous shape, so you don't need to be as careful with perspective here. But yeah, you can see that just I have a ball, and then I just it's like an amoeba. I'm just applying strength to here, and I'm twisting the ball, bending the ball. This is very important. This is going to be very important to draw the human body. So my recommendation is for you to also take this part, absorb as much as you can, practice. And that's going to be the next exercise. We're going to practice as much as we can these basic shapes, twisting them and bending them, because for the next step, we will start to combine them, right? So, and then applying to the human body. So for example, this is the arm. This is essentially the arm or the torso. This can be the hips, right? If you have here the femur, right? This is essentially the hips. And is the camera recording? It is. Of course it is, Marcio. So you have the hips and you have the knee, And yeah, this is going to be the next step of the workshop. We're getting this close to drawing the human body, and you're almost there. You're almost there. It's not, this part is not fun, definitely not fun, not even for myself sometimes when I'm practicing it. But this part is very important because it teaches you how to think objects in a 3D shape and how they can be bent, twisted, manipulated. This is very important. This is very important indeed. They don't call them fundamentals for no reason. Okay. So yeah, we will see you. I will see you again. I don't know why I'm speaking in the plural, but I will see you on the next video where we will, the same as before, a little drill, a little exercise on drawing these basic shapes in 3D and twisting them, very important. And then for the next step, we will finally start approaching on how to combine these shapes, and then finally we get to the human body.